You should have someone interview you for the podcast.
I don't.
It would be weird to ask. Like, you had to
was,
find somebody that would do it.
Right. A couple of episodes ago, someone's like, "Did anybody ask how you're doing?" I'm like, "No, but thanks. For asking. That's great." Cool, man. So I'm just gonna go right into it.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you taking the time to come on. I love vinyl records, and I love just what you're doing, and I love your story of what I've seen so far, and been following for I'd say like a year now since you opened the shop. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
No problem.
So we're in January, almost February already.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Good, man. We the holidays are always nuts, but yeah, I always got stuff going. And January and February, usually it starts cooling off. Well, it never really cools off. Summertime's when I get my get some traveling done and stuff. But yeah, no, we're doing good.
Good, man. What was the journey like for you? So you're from Midland, North Carolina. So what brought you to Charlotte?
So Midland is like right down the road, so it's not far. It's 20 minutes from here. So, anyways, I grew up in Midland. Well, see, like if you're in Texas, they call it Midland, Texas. Here they call it Midland. I don't know. But
Okay,
anyways,
yeah.
But yeah, I grew up in Midland, and it's out in the country on a farm, and I loved it. And so my dad has close to 30 acres out there, and my sister lives next to him. She has 15, and we actually just bought the house next to him, so we're all on the same big plot of land now, and now I live back in Midland again. But anyways, I grew up in Midland, like on a farm, and I didn't know anything about Charlotte. I didn't know there was a big city nearby.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And so, one time when I was like 12, I was really into records, and my mom took me up to, I don't know what shop it was. I think it was Repo, when Repo was out there. And they were in a different shop, I think, at that point. That was the best of my memory. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And then as I got my driver's license, and I started, I played guitar in high school in a bunch of different bands and stuff. And so we would be gigging around, and then I'd go up to the gallery crawls in Noda.
Awesome.
I don't even know. I'm sure they still do it. But and then, like, it was the type of thing where you just bring your guitar and amp, and like you'd meet up with a bunch of other musicians and set up and just do it, and it was a lot of fun. Met a lot of cool people that way, and did that for a couple years. And then, kind of moved around a little bit, still in the area. Went to college a little bit, dropped out. Thought I'd go back, but I just didn't. And then jumped around. I got married in 2010. Jumped around, did a bunch of different stuff, but records were always kind of a constant.
Yeah.
So in 2010, when I got married, I sold my record collection, and just immediately regretted it. Like I'd started collecting records when I was 10, and so I had that collection for over 10 years, I guess. And so I immediately tried to start getting records back again, and just started buying. The best way I thought to do it was to buy collections, and then keep the ones I wanted and sell the ones I didn't, and then hope to either break even or make a little bit of money and buy more records. So it kind of snowball it. So that's kind of been my whole model for life since then. And so I started selling on eBay in 2010. Bought it was just like one of those things. You look back at life, and there's certain things that happened that kind of changed the trajectory of what you're doing. I bought this like crazy collection in 2010, and it was it might have been 2011, but it was this guy had shut down a record store, and this was and he had moved to Charlotte, and so he had like all the stock still. It was 7,000 records.
Yeah.
And I got it for nothing, because at the time records weren't worth anything really. And so then that helped me learn about all different types of music, and sold a bunch of them and all that stuff. And so I kind of had stock to put online for a couple of years, and I was able to kind of quit the job I was doing to do that. But then started having kids and needing more consistent income, so I worked any job you can imagine.
Yeah.
I did landscaping. I worked in a glass factory. I did tree installation. I did graphic design for a t-shirt company. Man, I did a lot of different stuff. But anyways, and then lost my job in August 2019. Didn't know what I was going to do. Didn't have any money at all. I got $1,000 severance. And we were paycheck to paycheck. It was the only money I had. And my wife was like, "You should really open a shop," like, because I was doing pop-ups and stuff before that in Charlotte, kind of around like Divine Barrel. I'm sure you know that brewery. The incredible space in there, but they were really nice and let me set up in there whenever I wanted. So I was able to do a lot of pop-ups there, get to know a lot of people in the community. And so I already kind of had a loose customer base just because I did a lot of pop-ups. And then, so my wife was like, "You really should open a shop." And I was like, "I would never work. I don't think I could do it." And so, and we were basically like, what is there to lose? And let's just go for it. So sold my whole record collection, sold a bunch of my guitars to come up with the money. And opening day, I had 13 cents in my bank account.
That's crazy.
And and so, but people brought in trades and just snowballed it into what we didn't take out any loans and nothing like that.
Wow.
So we were able to snowball it after that and just kind of make it work. So that's kind of been my whole goal since we opened, is just to build off of what we have and make it better every day until, so. That's
awesome. So you can see here that moment you talked about of buying that guy's collection of records.
That was a turning point, because
I bet
before that, when I was young, I just listened to like what's normal classic rock radio stuff. And then I went through it and I remember thinking, man, I don't know what any of this music is, like, almost, because it was all like punk and grunge and stuff that I didn't listen to when I was a kid, And so in like selling it all, I got to learn about all this stuff. And there's so much with record collecting that you gotta, that's really knowledge based. You gotta know what you're doing. So it's taken me a long time, and I'm still learning every day. Probably always will.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a huge turning point for me. I wish I could find that guy and shake his hand. I don't even know who he was, but I don't even remember what he looked like.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's crazy to think about, like, those kind of moments that are like, wow, that was a big deal.
Oh yeah, it was a huge deal, and I didn't even want it.
Oh yeah.
I went to just pick some out because I had $200. It's all the money I had. It was 7,000 records, and he was like, "No, you got to buy them all." And I was like, "I can't buy them all." And he said, "How much money do you have?" And I said, "I got $200 to my name." He's like, "That'll work." I was like,
crazy.
Okay.
That is crazy.
And so, because he was moving that day and he needed them gone. And but that was just one of those things, the stars aligned. And but yeah, I've never had a collection that good since. But that's okay. That kind of got it started.
Right.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then in 2013, it was DAE Smith Records.
Oh man, that's way back. Yeah. So like, at that point, I didn't envision it being what it is now. So me and my wife named it DAE Smith Records back then. Dillon and Emily is our names, so it was DAE Smith Records. And that was just so I had a name to put it online, and that was my eBay page name. And then my son, in 2013, my son was born, and his name's Noble. So we changed it to Noble Records. Yeah. And that sounds a lot better.
I love it. And I love the story that I was seeing, just looking up where the name came from.
Yeah.
And I think it shows a lot about your character and your wife. And your son was diagnosed with autism. And then, like you were saying, you were working jobs and doing what you had to. You started playing music and stuff on the side. Yeah. So when you had that pop-up to raise the money for the treatment, what was that like, seeing the community aspect of that support?
Well, I think, I don't know about most other people, but in my life, I've not ever been given anything. I've never had anybody just help me out and give me any, like, I've never had a handout or even really a hand up. It didn't come from any sort of money or anything like that. And so anytime I want to do anything big, I've always felt like I've got to do this by myself. I got to raise this money by myself. And then I just kind of put it out there. There was just this treatment we wanted to do for him. And it was kind of a type of thing where we had to get him across the country. and I didn't really think him being on a plane would be a good idea. A kid on a plane is a bad idea anyways, but like him especially,
Yeah.
And so we wanted to just road trip out to Arizona where the treatment was, and at that time, man, we didn't have two nickels to rub together, and so I just kind of was like, I'll hustle it out, I'll do this pop-up. I was still working a straight job at the time.
Yeah.
And I'll just make as much money as I can, and we made just enough money to do it. But it was incredible to see, and I know that a lot of people came out just because they wanted records, but at the same time, a lot of people that I didn't think saw me, they came and looked me in the eye and said, "I really hope this helps," and they really
That's awesome.
stepped up, and even though it was transactional, they were buying records. It was a first kind of sense of community that I felt in this whole thing of having a shop, and it is transactional to a degree, but that's what I love about the shop now. It's like people come in, I've had people, they come in and like one guy came in and he's a regular customer of mine, and he was crying and he lost his job, and he sold me a bunch of his records, just because he needed the money. And so I talked to some members of his family and figured out which ones were the ones he liked the most, and I just stashed them until he got his money back. And
That's cool.
and so stuff like that I really try to make sure that people know it's not just about the records, like it's not just about the money. I really want a community based around this. But anyways, so that time, that was really huge for me to see that people cared about what I was doing, and didn't just care about the records, but a lot of them really seemed like they cared about me and my family, and so that was a big deal. That was a big deal for me. And then we went on the trip. That was 2018, I think. We went on the trip, and it was just life changing for him. Like, and with our journey, the way it's been, I don't know how everybody else is. Autism's different for every family, but for ours, and I think most families, you just try a bunch of stuff and see what helps, and then some things help a little bit, some things help a lot, but nothing like really cures it all at once.
Yeah.
But that was one of the biggest turning points for us. Helped us out a lot, helped him out a lot in his development. So, anyways,
that's special.
That was a good moment.
Yeah,
in my life. But
that's great. What's been the most challenging aspect of owning a shop compared to selling online, or is it better?
It's better.
Okay.
I like it. I like it because I love people. And online, you're selling to people, obviously, but you don't get to see them.
Right.
The thing I like about it is, somebody's been looking for a record forever, and then they come in and it's there, and they're like, oh my gosh, this, I never thought I would see this or whatever. Because there's so many times I've done that, and I've found something and just been like blown away by it, or like just recommending people stuff. But getting to know people and know their taste and looking out for the customers, and like online, I always have people that want me to ship, like constantly, like, you should ship, and they get so mad about it, And my whole thing is, you can buy a record online anywhere, like eBay or Discogs or whatever, but like that's not what I'm doing. If I have to sell the record to make the money, I will put it online and do it. But for me, I look out for my customers, because customers bring in trades, they keep the shop going, and so the community is what I think I crave, because I'm not somebody. I really, I only care about money because I need it for my family and our future and things like that. But like, I'm really not motivated by it all that much. If I was, I would just do online because I wouldn't have to pay rent. But for me, I'm really motivated by that connection of community and getting to know people. And I think that joy in everybody's life every day is such a huge, important thing. And it seems silly, but like, what else are we living for?
Yeah, no, it's not silly at all.
To bring people joy and to make them feel like they matter. That can make a big difference in somebody's life when you wouldn't think it might all that much. But like, the times in my life when I've been most impacted has been when someone has shown me that they care about me specifically, and not just about something I could give them. So
that's awesome.
That's my whole thing. But online's fine.
Yeah.
I do a live stream. Like right now I don't know how long I'll do it for, but right now we're doing this live stream auction thing online every Tuesday night. And it's a lot of fun, and you get to talk to people, and it's for a couple hours or whatever. So that's a lot of fun. But it's just to get a little bit of extra cash for the rent. But it's it's all gravy, no matter what you want to do. But for me, I like the community aspect of the shop.
It.
So,
and there's nothing better than coming in to dig for a record you're looking for, or just
for sure
want to just look at.
And like the whole thing of vinyl, like a lot of people like the sound. I think it sounds better, all that stuff. But the whole thing is like the experience of it, the physical, just the attributes of it itself. Like
it's hard to explain, but
it's hard to explain. But it's like just the feeling of finding a record. The finding of it's a huge deal. So I think that finding it online, although I buy records online, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it cheapens it a little bit. Back when I was a kid, there was no Discogs. I would have to go. I remember being at the flea market when I was 14 years old and digging through and finding stuff. Like, those are the best parts of it, you know? So I want to have that for other people, and then, for me too, obviously.
Right, absolutely.
So,
has there been any proud moment that stands out to you in your life that's shaped you to the person that you are?
I've told this story before on a different interview, but this is one of the ones. So my dad is hilarious, but he's a really hardworking dude. Mm-hmm. Taught me everything about being a man. And when I was in second grade, they had like a school store where they had like, pens, pencils, notebooks, all this stuff. Have you heard the story?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So they had all these, and I remember looking, thinking, I could get that cheaper somewhere else. And everybody's just buying them, and I'm like, man, I can't. You go to the Scholastic Book Fair or whatever, I'm like, these prices are a little high, And so I went to Sam's Club with my mom and bought all these school supplies. And I had this like lift up desk where I had all these school supplies, and I would like price them like a nickel cheaper than the school store. And so people were coming in, and they were coming to my second grade class, like, middle schoolers and stuff, and I would be dealing in the, out of my desk. And I was making some cash, and I had this whole business going. I was in second grade. So the school store started drying up and nobody was buying anything, and they're trying to figure it out. And somebody's like, it's because this kid's got his own shop. And so they came after me. And so they called my dad, and dude, this was old school. Yeah. They called my dad and they told him they were going to give me a spanking. At school. That's the South, right? But that was at school, and they were gonna. And my dad, he called him. He said, "You better not touch my son." And he drove down there, and they thought he was going to be mad. And he said, "What the heck are you doing? Like, the school is so a kid can learn how to make a living. He's already doing it. He's in second grade. Why would you discourage him from that?" And they told him they can't do it anymore, and I got suspended.
No kidding.
Second grade got suspended. My dad was pissed. Anyways, on the way home, I remember him saying, "Dillon, you did good. Sometimes the authority is wrong. They were wrong, but whatever." And he said, "You did good. You made money. Now, sometimes the businesses fail for whatever reason, out of your control. You take the money that you made, and let's start another one." So since then, after that, I went to an auction, bought a bunch of chickens, and started a business selling eggs. Mm-hmm. So I would buy, I had to buy the feed for the chickens. Yeah. I had to feed them myself. I had to take care of them. Second grade, that's pretty cool. Looking back on it, I think my kids will probably do that too. But stuff like that. But the chickens were my pride and joy, man. I loved them. And they were, I had them you feed them on this cycle, and some of them were laying 2 eggs a day. And I was able to it was great, man. Yeah, that was awesome. So I did that for a while, and then I was always started a business in high school, tie-dye and T-shirts, real hippie thing, on brand, hippie thing to do. And just in high school, I bought guitars and fixed them and sold them. But it was something that was always kind of in my blood from that point on. Yeah. Just kind of seeing what I could do, Why not?
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Yeah, that's awesome. Are there any goals that you have for the shop that's in your mind for this year or long term?
Yeah, I always want to make the shop better. I have some things that I'm working on that have not come to fruition yet, but I've always got some things that are cooking,
Love it.
But I do, I always want to make the shop better. What we do, every shop has its own little niche. Mm-hmm. you know, we do use stuff more than anything, but we
Yeah.
do have like a section of new stuff. I want to get like kind of a little bit better curation of new stuff. But like I said, my whole thing is buying a bunch of collections and just getting really cool stuff in the store, all that stuff. But for the shop, I want to get it running better, running smoother. Online's going really good. I just want to get that going better. You know, have a YouTube channel. I have some goals for that.
Awesome.
I'm kind of in the middle of starting a label, so that's
Cool.
kind of that's the goal for this year for me.
Yeah.
And like the whole point behind that is to just put out music that I like and that I think other people will like. And then like part of what I really like doing is recommending music. So I think that's a pretty cool way to do it. But like I found a bunch of records that are no one's ever heard of, you know, that are from North Carolina or whatever.
That's
it's
cool.
like just tons of records that need to be reissued that people need to hear. So that's kind of like, so I'm kind of in the throes of learning that whole process of like the licensing and mastering and all that stuff. So that's kind of a long-term goal for me, but I think that I'll get it done this year.
Cool.
I hope so. Yeah.
Awesome. What was that the largest collection that you've seen of the guy that?
No, Lord, no.
What's the craziest?
Oh my gosh, I bought 40,000 once.
Holy cow.
That was bananas, dude.
Oh my gosh.
That was stupid. But
Was that at a house or?
no, it was at a storage facility. It was like a warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
And the warehouse was kind of being liquidated, and they needed to move the stuff. And I was 22 years old at the time, and just it was an offer I couldn't refuse, and I bought them all, and immediately had to put them in storage. And so, anyways, that's a long story, but that was the biggest one.
Yeah. I'm sure it takes a long time to filter that out.
It does. And then another time I bought a storage unit that had 20,000 in it. I bought 20,000 a few times, but I bought 40,000 that one. It's crazy. I mean, you think 20,000 records sounds like a lot, but you move them and
I bet.
But
I was just thinking, I have like a great collection. It's not even close to that.
well, yeah, but it's the big collections are good, and they're a lot of fun. But there's a lot of junk you got to sort through. So I really like buying the ones that are really all killer, no filler type stuff.
Right.
But
yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And just a fun question to end it on. Led Zeppelin fan? Is there
A little bit, yeah.
is there any record that you don't have that you are looking for?
There's always stuff I don't have that I want.
Yeah.
So for the listeners out there, Led Zeppelin's my favorite band. That's kind of what started everything for me. And so I'm a Zeppelin fanatic. I probably have at least 200 Led Zeppelin records, just like different live shows and different pressings of stuff. Like, if we're going into the stuff I don't have, it's real nerdy, and most people that don't know anything about records would be like, this is crazy. But there was one that I had before I opened the shop. It was like one of the most expensive, like rare records I had, and it's Led Zeppelin 1. And when they first put it out in the UK, the text on it was turquoise. And then the band saw it and hated it, and they recalled them all, and then they redid it, and the text was orange. Yeah. So I had one of the original turquoise, and there's only like 1,000 of them, you know. I had one. When I opened the shop, I sold it to make money to get it going. So I hope to get another one of those. I will at some point. But and then there's a couple, like, I collect promos too. So like they're the copies that they would send to the radio stations to promote the record. Awesome. They're rare, and so there's a few Zeppelin promos that I want. But man, really, most of the Zeppelin stuff that I want, I've been able to find over the years. And, you know, for me, what I collect now is rare, ridiculous stuff no one's ever heard of. You know, like there's a bunch, like a whole subgenre of rock that is like this private press, hard rock stuff from the 70s, like Black Sabbath sounding records that they only made like 1,000 copies of, and it's just some band that made this record and then quit music, you know. And so there's a ton of that stuff out there. You'd be surprised, but there's like, you know, thousands of records like that, you know, and I still see them every day. I'm like, what the heck is this? You know? And so some of them are worth a lot and really hard to find. Some of them aren't, but, you know, and then there's like, you know, jazz and funk and all kinds of stuff. Like, and there's small, like really rare records that are obscure within those genres that I'm always looking for. So with collecting, you know, the deeper you get in, the more you realize you want. So,
Yep.
But for me, you know, the things that I find for the shop, 99% of everything that I get, I sell. You know,
Yeah.
Occasionally I'll find something that I don't have, but you know, but yeah. For Zeppelin, I've got mostly everything. But,
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, listening, keep an eye out for that turquoise.
Yeah. If you see one, let me know. But yeah, I've got some leads on one, you know, so, but we'll find it.
Yeah.
But that's what's fun about it. If you had everything you ever wanted, you know, I was talking to a customer the other day. I was like, if you had every record you ever wanted, would you want that? And they're like, man, I don't know. Because then you know, that the fun is like finding it. And of course I would want every record I've ever wanted, but it would cheapen the joy a little bit. Because like there's just something about finding it. Like if someone just dropped it on your doorstep, like here's every record you ever wanted, it would be amazing. But then what?
Right.
You know? So
That's fair.
it's part of it. But yeah.
Dillon, thanks, man. I appreciate the time. Incredible story, incredible thing you've built, and I can't wait to see more success that comes your way. It's gonna be great.
Well, success is relative. And, you know, there is financial success, and then there's a success in feeling a sense of fulfillment. In the last few years, I've really realized that, you know, just what matters in life and the people that you impact. And, you know, you could be something for somebody that could keep them going, you know what I mean? And that's what I really like about this. And, like, during COVID, when nobody was able to come to the shop, we did a thing that we would just send in free records to people, you know, awesome. And so like we had a bunch of people that were funding it, just like sending money in to do it, and then we were just sending records to people that had lost their jobs and all this stuff just for free.
That's awesome.
And that was really fun, and I think that a lot of people were really impacted by that, just because, not because they wanted the records, just because like, wow, somebody just did this for me, and like no strings attached, just to be nice. So
do it.
So that's what I like about it. But yeah. But thank you. I appreciate it, and thanks for the time. This is my first interview. How did I do?
Oh, it was great. You did great, man.
Yes, nailed it. First try. Beginner's luck.